Hello, everyone. Welcome to Narene's Life with MS. This is Narene, and it's time for a thoughtful Thursday. And this thoughtful Thursday, I thought I would, you know, um, actually do a little bit of introspection on the fact that on Monday, I will have lived half my life diagnosed with MS and the other half of my life pre diagnosis. And sure, at this point in time, considering it's been 16 and a half years since I was diagnosed, almost 17 years since I was diagnosed. It's not something. The feeling is not new. At the very least, it's definitely, when I talk about having MS, it's usually, what I like to say, the longest relationship I've had. The only thing longer is probably my love for Pokemon, considering that existed since 99, 2000, sometime around then. uh, but you know there I honestly don't know what I will be doing on Monday, considering it is going to be that day, right? I mean, a lot of times when people tend to hit that age, when people tend to realize that this very big event is happening, you know what are they supposed to feel, essentially? Because I honestly don't know if I want to celebrate it as much as just mark it as a kind of important day, right? I mean, a lot of times when I think about people who generally get diagnosed with MS, usually they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s. So their half-life day, as I at least like to call it, their half-life day happens in their 40s and 50s, sometimes even 60s or 70s. And there are also people who have been diagnosed when they were in their 40s or 50s, and usually having them wait until they're in their 90s and hundreds. It will definitely be a different sort of experience for me, considering that it was a little on the earlier end, right? Definitely something that I never really thought possible, and something that um, an event that I will um, kind of live when I'm not even 35 yet. Really makes me think about all of the different opportunities I had to enjoy life, and if I took all of I took all of the opportunities that were presented, and you know whether all the all the decisions I made, all the choices I took, whether they were right or not. Of course, I will never say that all of the decisions I made were right. I would say it's probably the other way around, to be perfectly honest, where majority of my decisions were definitely the unpopular one, or at least the ones that were more of a you know let me have fun right now, let's deal with the consequences later. um, at least that was my thing, because as a you want to be a little reckless when you're young, right? And I think I took full advantage of the fact that I was young, I was dumb, so I took some of the more risky options. I definitely made decisions that were maybe not for definitely not for my benefit, at least at that point or even later. But I can definitely say that regardless of all of the opportunities I took versus the opportunities I missed, I definitely took some opportunities that I'm very happy that I took. Right, I definitely had experiences that I am very happy that I had, and of course, it at least sets a sort of benchmark of the kind of experiences I want to have, or at least train myself for into having. So that is one thing that approaching this day really makes me feel. And I mean, that is just one person's opinion about what are some of the things I did, what are some of the experiences I had, what are some of the choices I took. um, that uh, you know especially considering that I kind of was diagnosed with MS even before I um, you know had the chance at independence, right? Living on my own, going to college, literally halfway around the world from where my family was living. So definitely there are loads of things that I am very happy in having done. And of course, there are certain things that I wish I did a little more. Certain things that I do wish I experienced a little bit more. Definitely some decisions that I won't say outright regret, but I wish I had thought about a little bit more before I took the decision. But either way, um, who I am right now, or you know who I have become now, is a person that I am happy being, knowing that this is a result of all of the decisions I've made, all of the things I had to do. And definitely at times some of the decisions were a little harder to take. Definitely there were some decisions that you know I wish I didn't have to make, but at the end of the day, that I think it's just my experience with MS allowed me to you know in certain ways mature in certain aspects a little quicker than what most people do. Because I think even at this age, even at the age of 33 or 34, people still do certain things that are unwise, unadvisable, because they have the energy, they have the ability, they have the drive to be able to do all of those things. So I did want to point at that and say that at least as far as being someone at this age who and definitely I'm talking more in general about people who are in their early 30s, early to mid 30s, um, who are slowly regretting or wishing that they chose something completely different. um, I think, I'm also in that space, although there was that added um, variable of me having MS, and knowing that there would come a time in the future where um, some of the easy things to do back then would actually become hard, right? Easy things like traveling solo, or um, you know being somewhere by myself, being independent, all of these things. So I am glad that I had those experiences. But of course, here is something where I do want to ask you as to how would you, if you had to evaluate your life, and this I'm just talking to general, in general terms, right? I mean, what are certain things that you felt made you mature a little bit quicker? And of course, if you were in my position right now, being a few days away from hitting your half-life day, what are some things that you maybe wish you had done a little more, done a little less, maybe chosen more wisely, or even something that you would tell someone, tell yourself, if you were able to talk to your younger version, just so they would maybe make the right decisions, or maybe make the wiser decision. So yes, please do share your thoughts, to share your insights, share certain experiences you've had where you know say you maybe didn't have the immediate regret, but maybe regret at a later stage in life. And yes, please do share all of those comments in the comment section, so that we can get the conversation started. And of course, with that said, this is Nareen's Life with MS. I am Nareen, and here's wishing you a good night and sweet dreams, and I will catch you tomorrow.